Hey, it's PMR, Sony Artisan of Imagery. Today we're going to talk about Sony's HEIF files, HEIF files, as an alternative to JPEGs. Let's get into it. So Apple's really the one that started this alternative to the JPEG with the iPhone quite a while ago. And by now, Lightroom and Capture One and Photoshop and various editing softwares have caught up and can now handle these files, where initially when they came out, you couldn't really do much with them unless you converted them to something else. So today I'm going to go to a football game down at Maryville College, and I'm really excited to shoot only HEIF files today. And later on in the video, we'll show you some pictures, and I'll basically give you a rundown of my experience with it. There'll be some disadvantages and some advantages to choosing HEIF files, and so we'll get into that later. So I'm excited about this new possibility, and I'm going to see if it works out in my workflow. Is it something I'm going to switch to, or will I stick to JPEGs for shooting sports? We'll see. Okay, I'm in Lightroom Classic here, and I'm just looking at these files, and it's pretty intense. I'm not typically a RAW shooter, so I'm not used to seeing the quality from the files like this. It's quite amazing. And I can do, a lot of stuff to these files, and they're still excellent. I'm going to pass on that one. I can crop at will. I on purpose shot only, I shot the 400-2.8 at this game, but no teleconverter. So I'm loose. For me, I'm loose a lot. And note that the tonality on the top of the helmet is like there's tone there. It's crazy. I'm not used to seeing that. Usually it blows out with a JPEG. And I can increase contrast and still recapture that helmet white without any issue, which is, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm really impressed. I'm going to delete that one too. Sometimes I keep more than I should. It's a sack, but I'm going to take it anyway. So here's my exposure. I can crank the exposure up pretty high if I want to, even increase contrast, but I can still pull the highlights back on the helmet, which is really pretty outstanding. I keep adding black, but even when I add black and get it nice, a nice look to it, it still works. And again, I'm doing pretty extreme crops on this stuff. I just can't get over the helmets, the white helmets. They're really pretty amazing. Yep, this is pretty cool. I mean, I'm definitely seeing a difference between, and JPEGs are great out of the Alpha 1. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're really, really good. but these are really quite exceptional. Yeah, it's really, I'm kind of blown away because these are acting like raw files, but they're not raw files. And I think that's the big difference. Yeah. Here's a good example. This is going to be an extreme crop. Little sack here. So I'm going to open up the eyes, shadows, pull the helmet detail back, highlights, increase contrast, add black. I'm just amazed at this up here. It's really quite amazing. Truly. I'm going to add some vignetting to this because I just want to. It needs some help. There we go. All right. And that one's not as good. I like the other one better. I'm hoping this is, not boring for you guys just watching me, tone, but I think it's the only way to really show what these files look like, these HEIF files. They really have a lot of headroom. I mean, it's incredible. I am definitely impressed. Yeah. I mean, a little bit more. Show the opponent a little bit. So I'm going to take this one and apply it to this one. Yep. I don't even need to take a lot of the highlights back because the highlights are already there. That's what's crazy. This is an interesting play where there's a touchdown catch. I'm going to go ahead and crop the bejesus out of this one. But I like the fans, the tuba up there. Can't get enough tubas in your sports pictures, And it's too bad the defender doesn't even know where the ball is. Now that looks like a full frame capture right there. But look how dark it is here. And just watch the gloves and this part of the helmet. So I'm going to open up the shadows a little bit, not too much. I'm going to open them up. I'm going to add black, increase contrast, pull the highlights back down. Just look at what's possible. I'm not going to go there, but look at the helmet. I mean, and the gloves. It's just crazy. I don't need that much, but I'll take that much. That works. This feels a little warm to me, but I guess it was just a nice day. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That one's not as good. He's fallen. Fallen pictures aren't as good. Now this one's interesting because this one was shot in bright sunlight, right? Now he's fallen into shade. You can see it's like speckled shade, and there's shade everywhere. There's shade all over him. There's a spot on here. And this is where the HEIF files really show their stuff because, I want his face, so I'm going to just open up shadows a little bit, and there's his face. Now, when I do that, it gets a little warm, so I'm going to knock a little of that warmth out right there. But look at the top of the helmet. I mean, there's just tons of highlight there. It's crazy. So I'm going to do the same thing, just open up those shadows, add a little black, pump that contrast because I used to shoot chrome, and that's what we did. I'm going to leave this one full frame. I like it. This works because he's not on the ground yet, and both of them are off the ground. I think that's pretty sweet. Okay, back to the midfield. This is a sack. So open up those highlights, pull the shadows and then the highlights back down. Just, I'm backlit, so the helmet should be gone. And it's still pretty good. I'm going to add some black here. Yeah, too bad he's in mid-blink. In fact, because he's blinking, I think I'm going to just nail it. Yeah. This is really far away. This is punched in, so this is 1.5x. And this is where you really see kind of like more what the HIF files are capable of, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and do a vignetting because it's going to help to kind of focus on the player. Run back up to the top. The shadows need to open up a little bit. And highlights. I'm just going to show you again. This is max highlights. So the side of that helmet here should be gone. But, even if I take it to right there, that's remarkable. I think that's really, really something. And because this is the same light, literally, as that, let's look at these next ones. Yeah, this is a good run. So I'm gonna go back here, and I'm gonna use the same settings for this as well. So now I got the same light. Now all I have to do is crop because I sync the settings. This is good because it shows the O-line doing their thing. Nice. Just crop again. Okay. Not a great picture, but, you always need the starting quarterback, so. Shadows, highlight, add black, and more shadows. Contrast, yeah. And same stuff, so I can go there, sync. Okay, I don't have a lot of this kid, so he's a wide receiver, and he didn't receive much, so, well, he did, but I just didn't have a lot, so I'm going to just... This one needs contrast big time. There we go. Yeah, just look at the white here, the white on the top of his sock, then the white here, and I'm just going to do the highlights. I mean, it's just crazy what's possible. I just am seeing a real difference between what JPEGs are capable of, even in the Alpha 1 and these HEIF files. And this is literally the same light, so I'm going to just sync. All right. Whoops, one more. Same light. Too far away. He's just running out of bounds. So this is a pass play. Again, I'm overexposed. This is like my actual full frame exposure. I'm over, I blow it sometimes, just like all of us do. So let's first go in and crop because this is way too loose. So this is like from the, one end zone all the way to the other end of the field. So now we've got a frame, and we'll check this, and it looks like I'm focused on him and he's winking at me, but yeah, that's too bad. I'm on the wrong guy. And he's in front of him. You can see the grass. You can see where the sharpness is. So I'm out. So I'm going to see if it gets any better in the next one. And let's see. No, I'm out of focus. That's a bummer. It's kind of cool to have all those frames coming in. This kid was great. He was like celebrating after a big play. And I love how this guy's on the ground. Like that kind of makes the picture, I think. Give it a little more room. Yeah. I'm going to do a vignette here because it just needs a little help. And then because you can see his face so well, I don't really need to do much. I'm going to increase contrast a little bit. I'm going to open up shadows a tiny bit. That works for me. The next frame is a sync as well. So we'll look at the next picture. So it's different. You don't see as much of his face, but he's not up anymore. So he's like in the air here. And then he's come back down. So you can see the difference in and I think I like the other one better. So, okay, this is a little hot. Again, the light was really, there was a lot of wind and it was in and out. Those are my excuses. All sports photographers have them. And so I'm going to vignette some. And then I'm going to add a little saturation here because when you overexpose, you kind of lose a lot of that. And I don't need any shadow details, but I do need some highlight recovery and a little bump of contrast, and we're there. I'm going to go ahead and do the vignetting. Yeah, that looks good. So, and I'm going to apply the same settings to this next frame too, because it was in the same series. I'm going to crop this one a little bit looser because I like how he's in traffic with all the guys, and that's pretty cool. Good. Oh, this one's good too. So let's go back. Oh, that's because it was yep. So I'm loose, and I'm also, you can tell I'm way off kilter, so I'm going to straighten that a little bit. And crop. I like how he's framed by the two defensive players. And, I mean, just that's really good right there. I mean, I think I'm going to leave that one alone. Same thing, I'm going to go ahead and just straighten just a tiny bit, just a little off. And then he's looking downfield trying to find a receiver. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not even going to do any more than that. Whoops, same thing here. Okay. So I'm going to pull the settings from here and sync with the next two frames because it looks good, I think. Yeah. So all I got to do is go crop this one. Got the Scots back there. They'll like that. A little vignetting. Yep. Okay, this is a good one. This is a dark complected African American player who is backlit. He's turning into the backlight side, but he's side lit, and so I need to get his face out of there. Let's crop it first, and then see what we're gonna. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do a major. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and crop the whiz out of this one. It's a nice picture, and it needs to be, you need to see his face. So let's see his face. And let's bring that back. Let's add a little black. And then let's vignette some. Yeah, that's good. That's real good. I'm happy. I'm really, okay, I can use the same settings for this frame. So I'm going to sync those two and then go crop this one. This one I'm going to leave the player in there as he's reaching. Yeah, man. I like it. That's nothing. He's just falling down. Cool. This is loose, but it's not that great. I'm going to delete it. Okay, this is a touchdown, so I got to keep it. You want to leave the field in there for these. It's really important to do that. I'm going to leave this hole. This guy's grabbed his legs, so I'm going to leave that in there too. I'm going to definitely do some vignetting here just to get things. Now he's really dark, and there's some major, light blasting in there. So let's get his face out. There we go. Highlight recovery just a little bit, not tons. Add black, bump contrast, and we're there. That's nice. And you can see that it's a score. It's definitely a touchdown. Yeah. No, I don't like that one as much. So I'm still deleting. It's really good to shoot wide sometimes. I mean, sometimes people just go a little crazy with the tight, and I'm certainly guilty of that. But this is kind of a cool frame. The ball's in there in a place you can actually see it, which is cool. It's got the stadium in there. It really sets it, and there's a lot of fans. Small colleges often they suffer from not having a lot of fans, and so this is really important to get these kinds of pictures that show. And then this kick was good, so people remember that. I don't know why I kept that one. There's no faces. I'm going to delete it. Okay, here's another touchdown catch. I got one eye there. It's the best I could do. This is really a vertical, but nobody uses verticals anymore online. So let's get his eye out a little bit. Do highlight recovery. I think that's it. That's good. This is just kind of a cool thing. I'm gonna saturate there a little bit and get some contrast in there. And then I'm gonna do the highlight recovery. Good. These are just coaches walking around. This isn't like the head coach, but really harsh shadow on his face. And you can see the HIF file is seeing so much in the shadow area even before I do anything. So I'm going to add some saturation to this because that's more kind of what it was. And then just on this, I'm going to go ahead and vignette too. That'll help it. And then I have another one like this right next to it. I'm going to vignette this one as well. He's overexposed, so by just adding contrast and adding black, I can back that. Yeah, that's a good frame. There we go. Okay, let's see here. So I'm hoping this isn't boring you guys to death, but it's good also to just see sometimes what other photographers are doing in their toning and how they're doing stuff. This is good because of his little hop. Both feet off the ground. I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, you know what? Is he sharp? He's not sharp. Behind him. Well, it's hard because I think it's behind him. I think sharpness is behind him, so I'm a little back focused there. So I'm going to dive out of that one. Okay, I never did get a fingertip release off of this game, but I'll get him next time. Yeah, this is just a great example. This is like if you nail the exposure correctly, you get this, which is there's very little to be done. I like it. This was actually a touchdown pass that I shot way too tight, but it's a touchdown pass, so I'm going to keep it and just go even a little tighter because you can tell what it is. I'm going to add some saturation. And then I think the exposure is a little hot. There we go. Yep. I'm a little under here, so I'm just going to open up the overall, and then I'm going to add a little saturation, just a tiny bit. Bump contrast, that's it. Yep, good defensive play. I think I'll leave that alone. I mean, this is, just think about if this is a JPEG, like what would happen with these eyes versus the cheek. So the cheek is properly exposed. The eyes are probably 2 to 2.5 stops under. And it just really looks really good. I mean, I'm impressed overall. All right, I'll open up the shadows a little bit because it's a little dark in there. There we go. So I want this guy, obviously, so I'm going to open up shadows some. And I'm going to crop back into here. And you can see what's happening. This guy's got the ball. Oh, look at how nice that is. Dang, I don't even have to do any highlight recovery on this helmet. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm kind of hooked on these HEIF files here. That's pretty slick. Okay, that's the next frame, so I can go back and grab those exposure information and just sync it. So let's see here. Yeah, that's good. That was good. The coach got really pissed off at a call, and he was yelling and screaming, and we've all seen that before. So I'm a little loose, but I'm going to leave it loose because it shows the team. And I'm going to go ahead and just bump shadows a little bit so I can see the other side of his face in this area here. So I'm just going to open up a tiny bit, not much. Recover some highlight and add a little contrast. And then, yeah, we're good on the vignetting. Now there was a series of these 3, so I'm going to hit 3 and sync them. Don't have to worry about those. Here's another catch. It's far away. Don't care, but it's this is an almost. The quarterback released the ball too quickly for me, but it's still a really nice defensive line picture, so I'm going to grab it. Yep. And this is just a no picture, I don't think. No, these guys are fighting. I don't know if he's sharp or not, but if he's really sharp, this will work. And if not, it won't fly. But let's just see how it works. And he's sharp, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. I think I'm just going to add a little saturation and just a tiny bit, and then recover these. Again, look at that helmet. What's possible? It's just wild. Then I get some vignetting going on. Yeah, that's pretty cool. He's off the ground anyway. Now this is a really good O-line picture because this 86 is doing his job, buddy. He is doing his job. So let's get both their faces out of there. Bam. That looks good. I don't even have to touch the highlights really. But what did I learn? On the benefit side of the HEIF files, I would say that they are probably 80 to 85% a raw file in terms of the degree to which you can manipulate them. There's a massive amount of dynamic range or headroom, or, I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, but there's just a huge color gamut there. And that allows you to find detail in blown out highlights that you'd never find in a JPEG without the hassle of going into a raw file. So I just feel like in very difficult lighting situations, like if I was shooting a game and I couldn't be where I wanted to be and I was side lit the whole game, for instance, that would suck. I would want to use the HEIF files for that, or a RAW, to be honest. But the ability to affect change to the file is massive compared to a JPEG. And I have to say, in all honesty, that the JPEGs coming out of the Alpha 1 are awesome. They're great. There's like tons of dynamic range there. But this takes it to another level. On the downside though, in the post-editing, it was very frustrating. Photomechanic is like the fastest possible way to cull images there is. There's nothing quicker. It took me almost, it wasn't quite 2 hours, but it took me like an hour and a half to maybe an hour and 45 minutes to go from 2,900 pictures down to 105. And that's just too long. It just took forever to try to do it. And I don't know if it's because Photomechanic is designed to kind of optimize with JPEGs, but you could do raw file editing faster than you could a HEIF file. So that kind of goes, well, maybe we should just use those anyway. But I feel like if at some point there is if the editors themselves, Photomechanic, Lightroom, Capture One, if they could be optimized for the HEIF files, it would be something I'd want to switch to entirely and never shoot RAW or JPEG again. But I think that the benefits are there. They're definitely there. And I think in the future, will I switch and do all my sports with HEIF files? No. If the light is good or if the light is consistent, I think I'll continue to shoot JPEGs, especially in the Alpha 1. However, I think if I got into like those situations where it's like, you know, is that play going to go into the dark shade in the end zone from bright light? In that situation, I could see myself changing over to HEIF just for that purpose. So for very difficult lighting, I think I'd do it. I also think that I'm going to continue to shoot HEIF files exclusively on my landscape photography, which I'm really getting into. I'm having a lot of fun with that. So is HEIF file the answer to everything? No. Is it the answer to some things for some people? Yeah, you bet. And by the way, my Mac is it's a Studio Mac. It's a Max chip, you know, M1 Max with 64 gigs of RAM. I think it's a 10 core machine. It's a fire-breathing machine, and these HEIF files, putting 2900 HEIF files just stopped it dead in its tracks, and it just crawled. So that was really frustrating. Outside of that, though, I love the HEIF files. They're great. I just hope that we get some optimization and post software at some point soon. This is a super long video. If you're still with me, you're my hero. Thanks for watching.